Welcome everybody. I'm going to be talking about Vespiquen, but before I get into these super sick buffs and changes, as always, I want to make a quick little disclaimer to check out the description below if you have not already. It's super important to check out all of the move buffs and move buffs and changes. I could re-record this, but I'm not gonna. I'm going with it. Yeah, just make sure you check that out because there's a lot of very important changes to moves. Basically, every move is buffed or changed, and there are 130 plus custom new ones. So, while you skim the Google Sheet and look at all the buffs and changes, you can check out the moves while you do that. That being said, we have some super awesome buffs for Vespiquen. 2 incredible new abilities, an incredible move pool, incredible new stat buffs, and most importantly, well, not most importantly, actually, I would argue even least importantly, but still very importantly, the signature move buffs. So stat-wise, it's just way tankier overall. HP is based a little bit more on size now, and it's a pretty big, fat queen bee, so honestly, anywhere from like 81 to 101 HP would have fit. But, based on total and stuff, I wanted strongest attacking stats and good bulk, so I went with 81, 117, 117. Honestly, I probably could have done 91. 112, 112. Is it too late to change that? If I change anything after this video is released, it'll still have the same stat total, and it'll just be swapping defenses and HP around. So, regardless, 90 offenses are pretty good. Just solid, strong. It has great offensive tools with like setup moves and great coverage. Well, not great coverage, but the coverage that it needs. And then most importantly, at level 60, it has attack order, which is overall 135 base power with no drawbacks. It bypasses Intimidate because it always crits now. Speaking of the other signature moves, before I get into the abilities, which are honestly the main draw, like in terms of what makes it amazing, quickly I'll mention that, as you can read right there, heal order and defend order now have priority, which is huge because in this ROM hack you cannot heal your Pokemon with items. That being said, though, just really tanky. 81, 117, 117 with the abilities Intimidate and Guarding Gale. Guarding Gale essentially being Delta Stream. Therefore, a Bug Flying type, which honestly gets way too much shit. In-game, Bug Flying is actually pretty good. Just don't be stupid and use it against like rock types, and you're fine. Because it actually has a lot of really good resistances, including a 4 times resist to fighting and grass. Right? Grass is there, I'm not stupid. Yeah. 4 times to fighting and grass, as well as a bug resist, which is actually a lot less common in this game now because bug fighting, ghost, and fairy no longer resist bug in this hack. So resisting bug is actually a much bigger deal than it used to be. Especially with all the powerful new bug moves flying around, like First Impression being a TM and Lunge, and all this other, U-turn being on way more mons. So yeah, but my point is that your abilities are incredible. Guarding Gale essentially removes your 4 times against the rock, and it makes you neutral to electric and ice. So a Bug Flying type with Guarding Gale active, aka Vespiquen, is only weak to fire, flying, and rock 2 times. So it only has 3 2-times weaknesses, and then in exchange it has 1 immunity, 2 4 times resistances, and 1 neutral resistance. So it's actually really good. It's not anything groundbreaking or insane, but it's really solid. Also, I did notice the little icon up there bugged. I will fix it after the video is uploaded. Do not fret, I will fix that. Just an annoying thing with the docs, but yeah, it's just really fucking strong, really tanky, great defensive Pokemon, because you might be thinking Guardian Gale Super Heat, and it is Super Heat, don't get me wrong, but Intimidate is the ability that we'll be using most of the time. Intimidate is very fitting logically. Vespiquen already had access to Unnerve, which is just, logic-wise, it's just Diet Intimidate. Like, every Pokemon that they gave Unnerve to could have had Intimidate. And I believe this is probably not even the first hack to do Intimidate Vespiquen. That's a pretty common thing that people talk about, and it honestly should. It makes a lot of sense, so it should honestly have that in the real games. But, in this ROM hack, it has Intimidate and much better bulk. So you also have really good stuff like Slow Parting Shot and U-Turn in conjunction with Intimidate. There's also Infinite Use Eject button, which you can slap on your Intimidate Pokemon to get free pivots around. So yeah, all kinds of great stuff. Great defensive Pokemon, great utility Pokemon, and it has great offensive presence with that move pool, especially with attack order later on. Heal order and defend order are also pretty early on, and you can use those with something like Power Trip or Finishing Blow. You also have Sticky Web, which is great utility. Stuff like Toxic is huge. You also have Roost before you get access to the heal order. Not to mention, if you had to delete heal order for whatever reason, you can always reteach it Roost later if you need a if you need a healing move, because Move Learner is not until the leak. So you do have to be careful with your moves and be more, you have to use your brain a little bit for what moves you teach and which ones you don't. Although, keep in mind that you do have reteachable infinitely TMs and tutor moves, which are some of your best moves come from there anyways. But yeah, all kinds of awesome tools it has. Honestly, this is like a pretty brief video. I can talk about Combi really quick. Evolving level 25 is really solid for it. Makes a lot of sense. 30 base attack with Hustle is equal to 70 base attack, if you do the math out. roughly. Might be even a little bit higher than that, honestly. Nothing crazy, but I mean, it's a Combi. Guardian Gale it also has, which is pretty fitting for it, and it's a good ability. You'll just switch between those. You have stuff like Aerial Ace, which can't miss, and it's priority. You have Fly, which will give you an accuracy boost. You have Hold Back, which gives you +1 accuracy and +1 attack. So those are your main. And U-Turn, which can't miss. So those are like your main 4 moves that you'll be using with Hustle. Not to mention you could just slap a Wide Lens on your Combi and do some decent damage. It's nothing crazy. It's kind of just different flavor anyways. You're probably going to want to use Guardian Gale anytime that there's something coming up ahead that is weak, that is super effective against your flying typing. That being said, though, keep in mind you do have access to infinite use ability capsules. So I mean, you can just use different abilities depending on the situation. You might use Guardian Gale sometimes. You might use Intimidate sometimes. Really just depends on the situation. Intimidate is obviously super great, though. Honestly, I just love these buffs and changes. It's very simple, but very, 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 very effective, you could say. Just a lot of really good moves here. There's a couple other moves I could cover, but honestly, it would take way too goddamn long. And I'm trying to keep these videos a little bit more brief. So honestly, you can figure out the rest for yourself if you just check out the description and look at the move buffs and changes. But there's a lot of really, really, really cool things that Vespiquen can do now. I'm just kind of covering the important things and the general vibe for why I went with these buffs. You know, it's a very defensive looking Pokemon. It also looks like it should be able to pack a decent punch. And then also Combi is like pretty damn bulky because it's like a guarding little wall of honeycomb and it has a good speed. So it's actually a pretty good Pokemon up until level 25 with good utility moves like Sweet Scent and, you know, some Struggle Bugs, Get or Smack, all these good utility moves. So yeah, I'll leave it off there. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully this video was informative and interesting to you. If you did like this kind of thing, please make sure you like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm close to 900 subs at the time of uploading this, so hopefully you can get me there. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. Goodbye.